the faster footwork sound, 808 kick drums are often used. They sound a little bit like this. Let's take a look at how we can get that authentic old school analog sound in software. So start by loading D16's Nefton drum machine, a demo version of which you can get from www.d16.pl into your DAW. Activate the pattern write button. Hold Control or Apple and click the clear button. This gives us an empty pattern to play with. Double click the first step on the sequencer to put a loud kick drum note there. Set the parameters of the kick drum sound to maximum for the level and decay and leave them at 12 o'clock for the tone and sweep. You don't need to create a MIDI sequence, you can just export a bar of audio from your DAW and the kick drum sound will be there. So next we load the exported audio into a sampler. In this demonstration we're using Live's built-in Simpler instrument, but pretty much any sampler will do. In Simpler, by default, the level of the audio is set to -12 dB. Now we don't need to play multiple notes at the same time or anything like that, so we don't have to have it so quiet. So start by setting this level at 0 dB. Okay, now with the kick loaded in the sampler, we can play it chromatically, and this allows us to make Juke style pitched kick drum lines. Set your DAW's tempo to 160 BPM and copy the MIDI pattern we've used here. This gives us a pumping pattern with plenty of low end, but the kick drum itself sounds a little bit clicky. We could have used Nefton's tone control to kind of like get rid of this kick click and have a duller sound from the start, but by leaving the sound pretty much unprocessed up until this point, we have a lot more control over it at this stage. Now the simplest way to reduce the level of the click in the sound is to use an EQ plugin with a low pass filter. However, we can get more interesting results using Simpler's built-in filter. Okay, bypass any EQ and instead activate the filter in Simpler by clicking the filter button in the bottom left-hand corner of the interface. Activate the filter envelope by clicking the button next to the filter tab in the envelope panel. Turn the cutoff level down and you'll hear the click is filtered out. You can also use the filter envelope to control the frequency of the filter cutoff to get some interesting and useful effects. Click the filter tab to bring up the filter envelope and set its values to attack 0.22 milliseconds, decay 9.86 milliseconds, sustain 0 and release 50 milliseconds. Set the cutoff to 119 Hz and res to 0.91. The attack stage of the filter cutoff might be short, but try turning the filter off and on and you can hear how effective this envelope is at taking the click off the start of the sound while retaining that mid-range punch. You can get a lot more perceived volume from the kick by adding a limiter after the sampler. It's important to remember though that with limiting you're going to be decreasing the dynamic range of the sound, so be careful not to overdo the limiting because although the sound you'll get will be extremely loud, it won't have as much punch or impact as one that has more dynamic range.